Hey guys, what's up? It's once again mp4podcast.com. Now I was over at Nintendo 3DS channel, which is run by David, and David does a great job running his channel. Now, David goes on to talking about how the iOS, iPhone, or I would also say iPod Touch and iPad and Android are stealing sales from Nintendo. Very affordable apps and so on. If you need to develop an iOS app, all you need is a Mac. Android, I think you can use Windows or a Mac. I'm not really quite sure, but it's very affordable to develop for these platforms. Not the case with Nintendo. You probably have to get a workstation or something, and you have to order them from Nintendo, and they're not cheap. Now, David has acknowledged that iOS and Android are definitely something that Nintendo should be concerned about. However, when I said it, I left a comment on this video. David made a video back in April. Jack Tretton insults Nintendo 3DS, and I agree with them that I didn't write in the comments that I agree with them, but I agreed with them that Jack Tretton is insulting people. I left a comment. It's probably somewhere on the last page. And I said the threat of Nintendo is not going to come from Sony. It's going to come from the smartphones, iPhone, Android, and so on. And I got blasted. People were calling me stupid. And I says, "What's the matter? You don't believe in free speech?" It goes, "I do, but not when people say stupid things like you are." I had people arguing with me through private message. And one of the kids I got in an argument with, I went back and forth, and I said, "Read the first comment." And then he wrote back, he goes, "I feel like a douchebag." And he apologized, and he sent me a friend request on YouTube. Would have liked that he subscribed, but I'll take the friendship. I mean, it was an apology. So where do I think Nintendo should go? Well, I'm going to recommend you probably watch this Neogeo video. And I hate to give the assholes at G4 TV a shout out, but this is not really a shout out for G4. It's just that I think the people that work behind this documentary did a good job, and I think you should probably watch it. When Neogeo was bringing out their home console, they decided not to go up against Nintendo or Sega in the video game market. They want to make a high quality system and just sell games to their fans. It's a niche market, but they said, hey, we can make a quality product, and even if we make less money, we can say we put out a great product and we made some great entertainment. That's what one way I can see the Nintendo 3DS future Nintendo products going. Let's just say they don't want to enter the smartphone market at all, and that's what they could probably do. They could just continue making Nintendo products, and Nintendo fans are going to have to accept that there's only going to be a few titles a year, mostly probably from Nintendo, maybe a few third parties, but it's going to be significantly less because most companies probably won't want to support it. But if Nintendo supports it, and they can just accept that they're going to be a small company, but the most important thing is that they work on quality titles, high quality titles. If that's going to be for their portables or their Wii U, I have no idea how well the Wii U is going to do. I hope it does well. But they're going to be a specialty console company where you accept the fact that you're going to spend this amount of money on a console, and you accept the fact that there's going to be only a certain number of games. If they can release 4 great games or 6 great quality games a year, I'm happy with that. If the games they release are amazing, no crap games, blah blah blah, it's high quality. Yeah, I know Nintendo puts out good quality games all the time, but there's also a lot of shovelware from other companies. But every game they release has to be an A. and maybe I can accept a B title once in a while. So watch the Neogeo video and you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. The other idea is a little bit of a mixed bag, is to bring out a Nintendo phone. Now, one of the problems with Nintendo with the 3DS is that you need a Nintendo workstation to develop for it. So if they embrace Android, which is open source through Google, they can have people making Nintendo 3DS games through the Android operating system. Now, there's a couple other ways they can go about this. They can do it the way Sony did it. In Sony, there's an app on the Sony Xperia Play. Goes into like a PSP mode, like a Sony mode, so it becomes more like a PSP. And when you exit out of that, it's just a regular Android phone. Now, the thing I want to say is, from what I've heard, the Nintendo operating system and their workstations are very easy to work with. Now, not trying to say anything bad about Android, but Android takes a little bit more. Verizon's going to kick me off for what I'm not ordering their phone. But what's going to happen is they need to either do two or one things. Either a dual boot phone with the Nintendo operating system, so developers, who are going to be just a few developers, maybe it's just Capcom making one game, or Konami or something like that. And if they do want to sell a few workstations to a few companies that want to develop on the Nintendo iOS, and they want to have like maybe a slot so you can put games in, they would have to do a dual boot operating system. Now, if they did, well, they could also go the route where there is no physical copy and do a dual boot and go into a Nintendo operating system. Of course, maybe your phone probably wouldn't ring. Maybe they could do like two operating systems running and one where you would exit out, or something like that. And the idea about having the Nintendo operating system is that it's going to be very easy to program for, and when you have a very easy operating system to develop for, you get great quality games. Now, that's not to say that there aren't great quality games on Android, but it is a little bit more harder to develop for Android than even iOS. I mean, if you ever used a Mac, I'm not a Mac user, I'm a Windows user, but it's very easy to get a hold of, wrap your head around Mac. My uncle and my sister have one, and I have an iPhone and an iPod Touch. They're very easy. So if you ever tried to play around with Linux, it is a much harder operating system to learn. Now, I'm pretty sure it's not that hard once you learn how to do things, but to me, installing something is, you have to do a little line command here to install a program and so on. It's not hard to do, but I mean, just coming from Windows, it's hard, and that's the problem with Linux. It's a little harder, so it's going to be a little bit more of a problem for developers to really get into the roots of making great games on the Android operating system. Now, here's something else I want to talk about. I buy a lot of my games. I check App Shopper for Android, iPhone applications. A lot of these games are free, and then after a couple of days, they go up to their full price. And they release them for free because they want people to talk about their applications, or they want people to make videos on YouTube for them. So they give it about 2 to 3 days. It's free. A certain amount of people download them, and then if somebody like me makes a video, sometimes I get lucky. I mean, I have videos that have 30,000 views. I also have videos that have a couple hundred. On Android, I love this new site called bestappsmarket.com. They always have like really good recommendations. I actually reviewed their app just a couple of days ago. That's the problem with Nintendo, is they have these other devices that weren't even thinking about getting into the gaming market, but now they are. Now, the problem is, how do you combat that? Now, it's very easy to combat something from Sony or Microsoft, because they're going into the same market that you're going into, and Nintendo has a lot of data research. Sony also has a lot of data research, and Microsoft, and everything that they did right and everything they did wrong. Now, I will admit, it would have been better if they brought out better games for the Nintendo 3DS. It would have helped. But Nintendo has two options: make great hardware and go the Neogeo route. You're going to be a much smaller company, but just deliver high quality games. If there are less games, just accept the fact that there's going to be a couple of games here and there, maybe 6 games a year. If they're high quality, be glad that you're playing them, and be glad that the company's still around. And I'm totally fine with that. I mean, people who are Neo Geo fans know that Neo Geo always delivered the best quality experience that they could. Not all the Neo Geo games are great, but the first couple of games were a little bit kind of like beta, and then the rest of them really did start to ramp up in great quality gaming. So that's one way, or they have to bring out a phone or something like that. So anyway, guys, this is mp4podcast.com. Leave your opinions in the comment. I would love to hear them. Take care, guys. Later. Bye.